Okay, folks, I do hope you well. This is for you racing folks. Right, look, all it is, I've got something of confession's the wrong word. I've got something to tell you about my gambling, my past in gambling, and what I've decided I'm going to do going forward. Probably what I should have done 20 odd years ago, but I've only realised something over the last 24 hours. In fact, I realised it last night, and I thought, well, it might have took you till you got to your 60s, Dave, but this is what you're going to do from now on. I'll tell you more about that in a moment. Before I get there, let me tell you about yesterday. Bookmakers. See, when I started betting, I think I started betting with your independents, and then I probably went on to maybe a William Hill. There was a few William Hills here in Warrington, and then I think I did a lot with Stan James. I think Stan James had a shop in Warrington, and then I really went to the internet many years ago now, betting online. I did a lot on the internet. My favourite bookie was Stan James. I used to do a lot with Stan James, and then I got into spread betting. For those that don't know much about it, keep that way, don't bother. That said, you can win fortune spread betting if you're good at it. And again, based on what I thought of last night and I'm going to change my betting, I probably could have done a lot better than I did. I had to listen to a mate of mine. Something happened yesterday, betting wise, that shook me up a little bit and made me think, I need to change the way I'm doing things. And to be honest with you, I need to think of an old mate of mine who once told me about betting and about making money, and I never really listened to him. And had I done, it would have helped me spread betting, and it would have helped me betting these last few weeks. But before I get to that, let me just say, bookie-wise, there was a time when I'd use bookies and I could put a bet on of any size. Not that I was a huge gambler, although I used to bet more than most folk on the high street, but never a huge gambler. Never put thousands on, or not in one go anyway. Never played the machines in there and all that palaver. Never played fruit machines. They didn't interest me. But I used to put a fair bit on PLACEPOTS, more about that in a moment, and a raft of other bets. And then as I got into spread betting and did a lot on horses there, horse race match bets, one horse against another, and a lot of football, total goals, shirts, cards. It can kill you, and it did for a long time, although I did have some good wins as well. But it's very volatile. Anyway, stop the spread betting, stop betting in shops, always bet online ever since. And over the last sort of 2 or 3 years, I started betting a fair bit with the TOTE, directly with the TOTE. I've mentioned that name before, doing the PLACEPOTS direct, because they started dropping it to 1 penny PLACEPOTS, which I like, because I do lots of horses per race and perm them all up. And as I say, I think I told on here a few months ago, I can't bet with the TOTE anymore. I can't bet with them because they want proof of earnings and pay slips and all that, and I'm not prepared to do it. I've done nothing wrong with them, it's just that I've hit the limit that they required. I think it was $5,000 over God knows how long, or whenever you hit $5,000 they need more of you, and I wasn't prepared to do that. My issue with the TOTE was, well, I might have put in $5,000 or more, but a lot of the $5,000 was theirs because I had a couple of big wins and I drew the money out and then rebet it, and they're saying, we understand that, but it's just the way we run things here. When you hit that $5,000, whether it's been our money or not, we don't. It's not a takeaway. We don't look at what you've put on and how much you've won and then calculate. Whenever $5,000 does it hit that account, when you put $5,000 in, whether it's been ours and you've deposited it back or not, it triggers. So I've never bet with them since. So I do my PLACEPOTS now on Sky Bet. I used to do them on Bet365. I've told you why I don't do them on 365 now, because there was problems with the software on 365. I'm the guy that pointed it out on 5-6 occasions until they finally did something about it. But I lost a lot of money because they were incompetent. Anyway, that's by the by. But the TOTE, I'm looking at PLACEPOTS and so on and so forth, and I'm still doing them. I did one yesterday and won a few quid yesterday. I don't always win. But I'm looking at the TOTE, and I've been getting more and more frustrated over the last sort of 6-12 months than I can tell you. They've started bringing this betting called the ITV PLACEPOTS 7, which I like. I've mentioned on here before, folks. The reason I like it, there's not as much money in there, but there's not as many people playing it. And the other reason I like it is because the TOTE don't play it themselves. I know it, for those that don't know it, with the other PLACEPOTS, they put guaranteed amounts in. But when they put guaranteed amounts in to be won, they don't like it all being paid out. And they play it themselves as well, which I think is wrong. There's been things about it in the press before, and I don't know exactly 100% how it works, but they do play it themselves. I think some of their employees and friends of employees play it, and I think they win it more often than you or I do. I think what gets paid out in the end ends up being false, because you've got people playing it, putting loads and loads and loads more selections and lines in than me or you ever could, because we've not got the money to play with the volumes that they put in there. Just to give you an idea of that, and then I'll go back to the ITV7 play spot. I always grew up loving the TOTE and the play spot. You'd go to the racetrack and you'd regularly have a go at the play spot. When I started off, you'd have a £1 or £2 bet on the play spot, and that was it. One in each race. You might have the odd race with two in it, but in the main, one in each race. But they always used to play reasonably well, and sometimes very, very, very well. You still get a play spot now playing very, very, very well. Paying, should I say. But not often. It's very, very rare. Let me give you an idea of what the play spots paid yesterday. And bear in mind, many of these play spots started with 25 or 50 grand in them. Kempton, 18 quid. Brighton, 134. Pontefract, 12. Wolverhampton, 13. Ascot, 139. Punchestown, 124. The ITV7 play spot, which I play, which really should be harder to get up because there's 7 legs as opposed to 6, actually paid out £16.50. Now, I've been trying to get something off the ground, folks. I can't tell anybody what it is, but I have been trying, and I make an appeal on it on a regular basis to say, can anybody get me a number of anybody that runs one of these massive betting companies, or that's managing director, CEO of these companies, because they're really hard to get hold of. I've mentioned 3 companies in the main. That would be Betfred, I know many call him, but Betfred, also SpreadX, and also Boyle Sports. And the reason is I've got something to take to them that might be based on pool betting, but I don't want to say any further, that I actually have spoken to the TOTE about 18 months ago now. The guy from the TOTE I spoke to, nice fella, no problem at all, liked most of what I put in front of him, and thought it all could work, but it would take a lot of money to set them up. Anyway, they wouldn't go for it. And he's promised me he's not going to do it with the TOTE. The TOTE will not do it. All the ideas I've had, he's promised they won't use them. And to this stage, he's been true to his word. I hope he stays that way. Because if I get in front of somebody that's high up in a betting company and I sell the concept, because there's 2 or 3 things there to them, they'll bite on at least 1 or 2 of the things because they're fantastic. They'll be great money earners and they'll be a great pool betting source. I know I'm going around these circles here, folks, but I am going to get to what I'm going to get to. I think this gentleman wasn't as keen because he's high up there but not a boss, and I wanted something from it. I wanted to earn, and his thing was, well, you know, at the end of the day, I've had ideas before and I've passed them on to other betting companies. I don't get anything from it, but if they get brought on board and people bet them and people use them, I get satisfaction in knowing something that I've thought of is being used by others. Well, that's all well and good, but this person's pretty high up in the total and probably on a good number, a good screw, and probably on a massive pension, and probably he's a shareholder in the company, so he'll do well from it. I think the TOTE now have gone very much into this TOTE, you know, throughout the whole of the world and all that, these massive TOTE pools. And I don't see how they benefit somebody betting normally like I do. I do play spots with the TOTE. These people betting for me than ever don't help me at all. You might get slightly better odds on single bets, but I don't do many of those. And I know they've got some exotic bets on the TOTE, but the thing is, these are exotic bets that they've got that are common in Hong Kong and places like that. I just don't do. I've no interest in. I'd look at cross doubles like Connor 500 does and Flat Cap Callum, but you can't do them on there. And I look at play spots, and that would probably be it. These things, this big whirlpool thing, it doesn't help things like. It doesn't help lots of bets. It's ideal if you're putting single horses down, and I don't do as much of that as probably most do. But they brought this ITV7 place about 18 months ago, and I had a couple of really big wins on there. But they were putting it on the right races and the right meetings. They tend to do one every Saturday, and they do 1 or 2 in the week. Just to give you an idea of one that they do one every, I think it's a Monday night at somewhere like Wolverhampton. It's called the ITV7 Play Spot, but ITV7 don't cover the meeting, and I don't know why they're doing it. Yesterday it was at Pontefract. Pontefract yesterday, I think there was 2 races where you could go first 3, and most of the races it was first 2. One race it might have been first place only. There was 4 in it. There was 2 races with 5 and 6 horses, and I'm thinking, why would they do it there when you've got Punchestown on with all the big fields, and it's the only good racing of the week, the only proper racing of this week until we get to the Guineas over the weekend. Now, yesterday in Punchestown, first 6 races, a normal place spot paid 124. So if you'd have put the 7th race on at Punchestown, whatever that might have been, it'd have paid more than 124. The 7 races at Pontefract paid £16.50, and I'm thinking, what's all that about? Who in it? And every weekend they'll do an ITV7 place, but I said to this person I met, before they start doing the ITV7 play spot, I come up with an idea of doing something called the big. I'm giving you an idea here. The big pot. I said you should do a play spot every week on a Saturday. Call it the big pot, and do the biggest or best 8 races of the day. Don't matter if they're covered on the TV or not. I said same as, let's say you get Royal Ascot on and you have a Saturday at Royal Ascot, or every day at Royal Ascot. There's normally now 7 races a day. You should do the 7 races every single day as a play spot. If there's ever 8 a day, do the 8. If at any major meetings you've got an 8 race card, do that whole 8 race card. I said because often you'll get 1 or 2 handicaps in races 7 or races A where first 4 can place and often the favourite won't place, and you're building the pool up. And this guy said to me, we love pools that turn around, where nobody wins them and people keep putting into them. I can't think what they call, but you know what I mean. I just can't think of it. Someone will put it in the comment section, although it probably comes to me before I finished. We love that, he said. And I'm thinking, well, if they love that, why are they doing this crappy ITV7 play spot at crappy meetings? I mean, why would you do an ITV7 play spot yesterday at Pontefract to pay £16.50? When, as I say, at Punchestown, if they do it with 7 races, it probably paid over £200, which still isn't a lot, but it's a decent amount. I mean, like, to give you an idea, the last race 7 yesterday at Pontefract, there were 12 runners in it, and the prices of the first 3 were, because it was first 3 obviously, 9 to 4, 11 to 4, 16 to 1. At Punchestown yesterday, race 7, there was 14 runners in it, prices 4 to 1, 5 to 1, 15 to 8. It's just common sense. I don't understand for the life of me why they're doing this ITV7 play spot, and it's often when it's not even on ITV, and it's often from absolutely crap meetings when it's going to pay absolutely crap. It's a great bet because they're not playing it themselves. I mean, to give you an idea as well, the pool yesterday was £1,700. The most I've ever seen in a pool for an ITV7 play spot's about £9 grand. The average up until about 2 months ago was between 6 and 7. It's now dropped even on a Saturday. Often it doesn't hit that. And it's only because most of the payouts are really, really abysmal. But they're abysmal because they're putting the wrong races in there and I just don't get it at all. Anyway, that's my rant. That's how I feel about the TOTE. I'm disappointed because I like the TOTE and I love the play spot, but it's dying on its feet. I know you get the odd decent payout, but it's absolutely dying on its feet. And rollover, that's the word for the TOTE. They love a rollover. Well, yesterday you're not going to get a rollover on a £16 play spot here. You know, you could have done the Punchestown one, that probably wouldn't have rolled over. But there'll be times it will, and there'll be more in the pot. Yeah, back to me with betting yesterday. So I'm watching the old snooker. And I've got a thing, folks, now, and I tell you what I'm doing. I'm putting 10 or 20 quid bets on, and I'm doing ACCAs, and I'm putting ACCAs on. And I'll get to put the bet on, and if it's, say, going to pay back, say, 160, I'll say it's going to, say it's a double, and it's going to pay 85, 90 quid. I might have put 20 quid, it might be 2 horse race match bets, and it's not going to quite make the 100 quid. I'll think, I want it to be over 100 quid. So I'll put a 1 to 3 or 1 to 4 shot on the football, and 9 times out of 10 or 8 times out of 10 they will win. You know, it might be Benfica to win at home in the Premier League, is it? Whatever it's called, the Portuguese league. It might be Fino to win at home in I don't know how to say it, so I'm not going to try and say it. You know what it is anyway. It might be something like that, and now and again I'll put one of those in, and my bets will come up, and that one will go down, and I'm thinking, why have I risked losing all that money? I mean, I might have put 20 quid on, but I could have had 80 or 90 anyway. But why have I put a 1 to 3 shot in, a 1 to 4 shot to get 110 quid, just to get over the 100 mark, and that's the one that's let me down. And now and again I might do a 10 or a 20 quid, and I might have, say, 5 selections on there, and the 5 selections might be all around even money, or 6 to 4. And it's not quite paying 200 quid, it might be paying 180, and I'll think, I'll put a 1 to 4 in, get it up to 220, and I'll get 200 quid back. That's what I'll do. And honestly, I'm serious here, probably twice out of every 5 times I do that, if I get all the rest in, it'll be the odds on shot that lets me down. Right, to that end yesterday, I'm watching the old snooker, aren't I? I'm watching the snooker, and I did a bet on the snooker yesterday. I'd looked at the four matches that were being held over the last couple of days, and I picked 3. I fancied one match I didn't want to touch. The odds were really poor for one fella, and I thought I thought he probably would win it. As it turns out, I was wrong. But the other 3 matches, 2 of them I was pretty keen on, and 1 I was more keen on, and the one I was more keen on was the better price. So anyway, when I did the bet, and I did it with, I thought, either 1 or 2 sort of like odds on shots at 1 to 3s, 1 to 4s or something, but I couldn't remember what I did them with. Anyway, my bet was as follows. It was only 10 or 15 quid. It was Wilson to beat Higgins. That was the one I was 50-50 on. It was Gilbert to beat Maguire. I fancied that one a lot, to be honest with you. And the one I didn't fancy as much, but I thought it would happen, was Bingham to beat Ronnie. But the reason I fancied it was value more than anything else, because it was 9-2, and I thought 9-2, the way he played in his previous game, I thought that's a cracking price. But more than that, I thought Ronnie's just so up and down, it's unbelievable. And he's getting himself embroiled in all this. Should it leave the Crucible? And should we take the money? Should there be a breakaway? He gets involved in it because he wants to get involved in it. And now and again in the past, when he's got involved in things like Higgins used to, it spurs him on and he does better. But the Crucible is a long thing. It's a 2-week thing. And there'll be times he's saying things and people will throw it back in his face, like me and others, and so on and so forth. And sometimes he's saying so much, his mind's on all of that and what he's saying in the media and not on the snooker. And I thought, he can get beat in this. Bingham can beat anybody at the Crucible. You know, his safety play is pretty good. He's a cracking potter, great temperament. And I thought, Bingham can win this. So anyway, the other two had both won. I'm watching Bingham and Ronnie on the old laptop there. I think Ronnie had gone up, was it 10-8, and he got to say 10-10 or whatever it may have been. And he had to pause it because I'm on to somebody about work for 3/4 of an hour or an hour. And I takes the call. Anyway, after taking the call, it's 12-10. And I'm watching the last frame, and obviously Bingham wins. I thought, great, I'm up. I thought, what did I have it with? Because I couldn't remember it. What did I have it with? I thought, I'll go on. And I already seen I had no bets. It was with 365. He had no bets. There was all the bets had gone. There wasn't the old little red dot saying one bet still running. They'd already settled it and got rid of it. I thought, oh, it's gone down. How's it gone down? What did I have it with? Oh, and I knew I had this in a couple of bets that I'd had, but I didn't know it was in this one. I had it with galloping. I know Fast or Slow can beat it in the Gold Cup, can beat it there, beat it last year. But I thought we had a different galloping here this year. And I thought it was masterful in the Gold Cup. I thought it was fantastic. I know Fast or Slow fell. But I really, really thought it was nailed on this year. Now, apart from the chance that it can fall, it's only ever fell once that I can remember. And I didn't think it was going to fall. I just thought it was nailed on. I know there's a few in the field. There's been some good horses in that field in the past. They're not as good as they were. Fast or Slow to me was its only real danger, but I thought he'll put that to bed, no problem. And I watched the race and I thought I'd had that in a couple of bets, and that sent a couple of bets down, but I didn't think to myself it sent my snooker bet down. And I thought I'd been really, really on the money finding Bingham to beat O'Sullivan when not many had gone with Bingham, especially at 9-2. I thought I've done really well. That's shown that I've been announced there, a bit clever, and then just to get it to over 200 quid rather than keep it at 150 or whatever it might have been, I put galloping in at, I think I got it at 8-11, it ended up 1-2, and I thought, I just can't believe I've done that. I can't believe I've done that. And then I thought to an old mate of mine used to work in the bookmakers, worked there for years and years and years, worked many years for Fred Doan, and I've told it on here before, folks, he's always said, oh, Fred, he loves lucky 15s, he loves trebles, he loves doubles, hates singles. He wants you to have more selections because it only takes one to lose to bring the bet down. He loves it. That's why he's brought in this treble the odds in a lucky 15, Dave. He was the first to do it, did it for years. I know he stopped it now, but he did it because he wanted people to do the bet. And even though now and again it cost him, overall it never ever did. And I also remember this guy saying to me, the same guy, Dave, when you're winning on the spread betting, he said, if you're winning on the corners of the shirts, he said, if you're 50, 60, 70 quid in front, maybe if it comes in, you might win 200 quid. But it can change as the match goes on. If you're 50, 60 quid in front, take it. Take the win. And then the next match, do it again. And every time you get in front by a few quid, take it and keep taking it. I never did. I never ever did. So I've decided what I'm going to do from tomorrow is I'm going to try to win, try a bit harder. But what I'm going to do, I'm not going to throw silly selections in there just to take me over whatever figure it might be. Because I don't need to make any certain figure. All I need to do is put a bet on that wins. And what I'm also going to do, I've never done this before, I often do my horse race match bets and I think I'm pretty good at them. I win on more selections than I lose. I wouldn't say I win more bets than I lose because I do doubles, trebles and fourfold accas with them. And again, if you're doing a treble or a fourfold, you only need one to let you down and the bet's down. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to do something like Peter's doing, Peter Fillingham. I'm going to look to do maybe one favourite most days. No, I won't do it most days. I don't do them in the week. It'll be probably Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all the good race meetings. I'm going to put more on, but only on one horse race match bet. And I'm going to see how many times I win. And I think I'll do pretty well. I need to win 3 out of 5 to make it pay, 'cause they're all going to be about 5 to 6, 4 to 5. But ultimately, if I can win 7 out of 10, I'm going to be pretty much in front, and I think I can probably do that. I really do. So what I'm going to say to you folks is I'll let you know how it's going. And I don't think, even if I'm winning, as long as I do it with different bookmakers, because if you do the match bets, 365 do them, Betfair do them, Betway do them, I think as long as I spread my bets between different bookmakers, even if I end up winning in every account, because it won't be hundreds, well, it won't be thousands, I don't think they'll close me down. If I was regularly betting favourites, especially those that I've been bet in, then they would close me down. If I'm doing each way lucky 15s that they've seen online from Connor or from Flat Cap or anybody like that, they'd probably close me down. But I think if I win on a weekly basis, but not huge amounts, I'm doing on a horse race match bet, where the odds have already been set early on in the day, and my horse hasn't been betting because it's already the 2 favourites in the race, I don't think they'll close me down for that, but we'll see. So I'm going to try to start doing that, see can I win, and I'm going to let you know how far I get and whether I do win, and if I do get closed down for winning, we'll see how it goes. But what I'm not going to do in the future is think, no, that's not enough to win, I want to win some more, so I'm going to throw a shorty in. I'm not going to do that again, because that just shows how stupid I am and how stupid I've been. I know that's a ramble and it's a long one, not many of you will get to the end of this, but I think some of you may find this pretty interesting. If somebody out there had said all this to me that I've just said, and obviously it hadn't come from my mouth, I'd have found it interesting anyway. But I do know I've rambled. But I do that, don't I, folks?